Now, I want you to take a deep breath with me and just imagine for a moment that we are at 35,000 feet. It's that quiet hour of a long-haul flight, maybe somewhere over the Atlantic. The cabin lights are dimmed to a soft amber glow, and most of our passengers are tucked under those thin blue blankets, hopefully getting a bit of rest. But up here, in the forward galley, the work never truly stops. I can still smell it if I close my eyes, that very specific scent of high-altitude brewing coffee mixed with the faint, metallic hum of the aircraft's ventilation system. It's a comforting smell to me after 12 years in this uniform. I'd be standing there, leaning against the cold metal of the meal cart, perhaps rubbing my lower back after a long service, just watching the curtain flicker in the draft. It's in those quiet moments when the only sound is the steady, rhythmic roar of the engines that a lead flight attendant really sees the truth of travel. I remember a flight back in 2017, heading into Chicago O'Hare during a bit of a localized weather event. I was standing in that galley when a lovely woman, about the age of my own dear mother, came up to ask for a glass of water. Her hands were shaking, just a little bit. She told me she had been forced to gate check her carry-on bag at the last second because the overhead bins were maxed out, as the gate agent put it. She was terrified because her medication was in that bag, and she didn't know if she would see that suitcase again until she reached her final connection in Florida. My heart just sank for her. I stood there, surrounded by the organized chaos of my galley, thinking about how the industry has changed. We've moved so far away from the golden age of flying, where your belongings were treated with a bit of sanctity. Now it feels like a battle just to keep your essentials within arm's reach. I realized then that most travelers aren't being told the full story. They are being told what to do, but never how to navigate the system to protect themselves. And that, my friends, is why I am here with you today. Now, I want you to really lean in and listen to this part, because it's something my own mother asked me just last week when she was packing for her trip to see my brother. We've all been there. You've spent days, maybe even weeks, meticulously organizing your carry-on. You've measured your liquids, you've folded your clothes using that special rolling technique I showed you, and you've made sure your bag meets the exact dimensions required by the airline. You arrive at the gate feeling prepared, feeling like a hard target traveler who has everything under control. But then, the boarding process begins. You're standing in group 4 or 5, watching the line move slowly toward the jet bridge. Suddenly, the gate agent makes that announcement we all dread. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a full flight today, and overhead bin space is now at capacity. All remaining passengers must check their larger carry-on items to their final destination. I want you to visualize the face of the person at the front of that line. I've watched it thousands of times from my vantage point at the aircraft door. It's a look of pure, unadulterated heartbreak. It's that moment of powerlessness where you are forced to hand over your bag to a stranger and they slap a heavy white paper tag on it. They tell you, don't worry, it'll be at the baggage claim in Phoenix. But as a lead flight attendant, I can tell you exactly what is going through that traveler's mind. They are thinking about their jewelry. They are thinking about their tablets. They are thinking about that one souvenir they wrapped in a sweater so it wouldn't break. And for my fellow seniors, you are thinking about your lifelines, your CPAP machines, your blood pressure pills, your backup glasses. The industry's evolution over the last 30 years has led us to this specific point of friction. Back in the 90s, we didn't have this problem. Bins were for coats and small satchels because everyone checked their large trunks for free. But then came the revenue management era. Airlines realized they could make billions, and I do mean billions, with a B, by charging for checked bags. So what did we do as passengers? We adapted. We started buying larger max allowable carry-ons to save that $35 fee. Now we have a weight and balance nightmare. Every plane has a physical limit, and we've reached it. The airlines created the problem by charging for bags, and now they are solving it by forcing you to give up your bag at the most stressful moment of your journey. But here is the secret: the gate agent isn't shouting over the intercom. You don't always have to accept that white tag. There is another way. There is a protocol that allows you to maintain control, but you have to know exactly what to ask for. You have to ask for the pink tag. Now, I want you to take a seat with me for a moment. Perhaps imagine we're in those comfortable leather chairs in the Delta Sky Club, because to understand the pink tag, we have to understand the shrinking world of the overhead bin. The surface rule is simple. If it doesn't fit, it goes under. But the history of that rule is a bit of a tragedy. You see, back in the 1970s and 80s, the overhead bins weren't even called bins in the pilot's manual. They were hat racks. They were designed for exactly that: fedora hats, light overcoats, and maybe a small vanity case. People didn't haul luggage onto a plane. They checked it at the curb with a skycap. But here is the airline's secret. Around the mid-2000s, the industry hit a financial wall. Fuel prices spiked, and the revenue management teams, those are the folks in windowless offices at headquarters who treat every inch of an airplane like expensive real estate, realized they could unbundle the ticket. They started charging for checked bags to keep fares low. But the hidden truth was that they were nudging us to carry everything onto the plane. Suddenly, those hat racks were being stuffed with 25-pound rollers. The airlines created a weight and balance crisis on purpose to move the cost of luggage handling from their payroll onto your shoulders. So here is my travel consultant's strategy for you. When you look at an overhead bin today, don't see it as a storage space. See it as a limited resource that the airline is actively trying to reclaim. Because the bins are now a profit center, the gate agent is under immense pressure to clear the manifest. Now, I want to pause here because I used a term you'll hear a lot: the manifest. Most people think a manifest is just a list of names, but its history goes back to the maritime laws of the 1800s. It was a legal document for customs to ensure no contraband was being moved. In aviation, the manifest is a living document that calculates the exact weight of every soul and every suitcase on board. If that manifest says we are too heavy, the plane doesn't budge. My strategy for you is this: never be the last one to sign the manifest with your bag. If you are in a later boarding group, the airline's secret goal is to take your bag and put it in the belly to save time during the turnaround. You must anticipate this bin slimming tactic before the gate agent even looks at your boarding pass. This brings us to the technical distinction, and this is the part where I want you to really focus, because this is the difference between a relaxing vacation and a week spent wearing a gift shop t-shirt while you wait for your luggage. The surface rule is that a tag is a tag. If it's on your bag, it's going on the plane. But in the airline's secret world, the color of that tag is a high-level sorting code that determines the fate of your belongings. When the gate agent stops you and says, "Sir, ma'am, we need to check that bag," they will usually reach for a white tag. This is a check-to-destination tag. The hidden truth is that once that white tag is looped around your handle, your bag is no longer yours. It is fed into the guts of the airport, the miles of subterranean conveyor belts managed by the TSA. Now let's talk about the TSA for a second, because we see those blue uniforms every time we fly. The Transportation Security Administration was born out of the 9/11 tragedy, officially created in November 2001. Before that, security was often handled by private contractors hired by the airlines. The TSA's job is to ensure the sterile area of the airport remains safe, but when they handle a white-tagged bag, they are looking for threats, not fragiles. They are high-volume processors. The travel consultant's strategy is to avoid the white tag at the gate at all costs. Why? Because a white tag means your bag goes to the carousel. It goes through the sorting system, it might get misrouted to Denver when you're going to Dallas, and it will be tossed by ground crews who are trying to meet a 10-minute turn deadline. Instead, you are going to look that agent in the eye and ask for a pink tag, also known as a valet tag or a gate check tag. The pink tag is a different animal entirely. It tells the ground crew, "This bag does not go to the carousel. This bag stays on the jet bridge." It's a point-to-point agreement. You hand it over at the door of the plane, and you get it back at the door of the plane. You are bypassing the TSA's sorting belts and the airline's lost luggage department entirely. Now let's talk about the jet bridge handshake. The surface rule is that you leave your bag at the bottom of the stairs or the end of the tunnel, and a magic elf puts it on the plane. But the airline's secret is that the jet bridge is actually a high-stress transition zone. The ground crew, the folks in the neon vests, are often working in extreme heat or freezing cold, and they have a load sheet that they have to finalize before the pilot can retract the stairs. The hidden truth here is that ground crews prefer pink tags over white tags at the gate. A white tag requires them to scan the bag into the main tracking system and move it to a different cart that goes to the main sorting facility. It's extra work. A pink tag, however, stays on a dedicated valet cart right there on the tarmac. They literally carry it down the stairs, pop it into a special compartment called the aft hold, or the bulk bin. And it's the very first thing they take out when the engines stop. My travel consultant's strategy is to view the pink tag as a VIP pass for your suitcase. When you walk down that jet bridge, you aren't just dropping off a bag, you are performing a handoff. I always tell my senior travelers, When you leave that bag with the pink tag, take a moment to look out the window of the jet bridge if you can. You can often see the valet cart right there. By using the pink tag, you are ensuring that your bag is last on, first off. You aren't waiting at a crowded baggage carousel with 200 other tired passengers, straining your back to lift a heavy suitcase off a moving belt. You are standing in the quiet, climate-controlled jet bridge, and the ground crew is bringing the bag back to you. It's a bit like the old days of steamship travel, where your steamer trunk was handled with care right at the gangway. It preserves your energy, it protects your valuables, and it keeps you in control of the manifest of your own life. Now, I want you to imagine we're looking out a large floor-to-ceiling window at the regional terminal. Let's imagine Mr. Miller, a 72-year-old gentleman flying down to Florida for his grandson's graduation. He's a meticulous man, wearing a crisp linen shirt, and he's pulling a high-quality, hard-shell carry-on. He's flying on what we call a regional jet, maybe a CRJ 700. These are the workhorses of the industry, but they have a secret that the booking website doesn't show you. The overhead bins are tiny. They weren't built for modern rollers, they were built for briefcases. Mr. Miller gets to the gate and the agent says, "Sir, that bag won't fit in the overhead. I need to check it to West Palm Beach." Mr. Miller, being a polite man of his generation, just nods. The agent slaps a white tag on it, and off it goes into the belly. Mr. Miller boards the plane, but when he lands in Florida, he has to walk all the way to the main baggage claim, a good 15-minute walk for his knees, and wait 40 minutes for a bag that could have been in his hand the moment he stepped off the jet bridge. If I had been standing there with Mr. Miller, I would have whispered, "Sir, ask for the valet tag." On a regional jet, the pink tag is actually the standard operating procedure. Because the bins are so small, the airline expects to valet check these bags. By getting that pink tag, Mr. Miller could have left his bag at the end of the jet bridge and picked it up right there upon arrival. No long walks to the carousel, no lost luggage risk. Now, for a bit of bonus advice for my friends like Mr. Miller. When you are flying on these smaller planes, always utilize the pre-boarding announcement. Even if you don't use a cane or a wheelchair, if you feel you need a little extra time to navigate that narrow aisle without being rushed by a crowd of business travelers, just approach the agent. Say, "I'd like to board during the extra time segment to settle in safely." This isn't just about comfort, it's about cabin safety. When you are rushed, you are more likely to trip or strain a muscle lifting a bag. Taking those extra 3 minutes to settle into your seat before the scramble begins is the smartest move a senior traveler can make. It keeps your blood pressure down and your dignity up. Now, contrast Mr. Miller's experience with Sarah. Sarah is a vibrant 68-year-old traveling to see her daughter in Seattle. Sarah has a CPAP machine for her sleep apnea and a small bag of essential heart medications tucked inside her carry-on. She's in Group 6. By the time she reaches the gate agent, the bins are full. The agent is frazzled, trying to close the flight on time. He reaches for a white tag. "I have to check this, Sarah," he says, already looping the tag. Sarah feels that gate check heartbreak I mentioned earlier. She hands it over, forgetting that her CPAP is inside. But here is the airline's secret. Once that bag is white tagged, it is a cargo item. If that plane sits on the tarmac for 3 hours due to a ground delay program, Sarah has no access to her medication. If the bag is misrouted, she's in Seattle without her breathing machine. I would have told Sarah, "Stop, this bag contains lithium batteries and essential medical equipment." Under FAA regulations, and let's talk about the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, which was established in 1958 to oversee all aspects of American civil aviation, you are actually prohibited from checking lithium batteries into the cargo hold because they are a fire risk. By using the medical lifeline language, Sarah could have insisted on a pink tag. The pink tag keeps the bag in the bulk bin, a pressurized, temperature-controlled area that is accessible the moment you land. For Sarah and for all of you, my bonus advice is the 72-hour rule. Never ever put more than a 3-day supply of medication in your carry-on without having a backup on your person. I recommend a small medication pouch that stays in your purse or your pocket, the things that never leave your side even if you're forced to gate check. If a Mayday event happens and we have to evacuate, you aren't grabbing your carry-on. You are leaving it. Having those life-saving pills in your pocket ensures that even in an emergency, you are protected. It's about being a hard target for health risks. Let's look at what happens when the journey isn't a straight line. Imagine Sarah and Mr. Miller both have a connection in Atlanta, the busiest airport in the world. Sarah's bag has a pink tag, Mr. Miller's has a white tag. Mr. Miller's flight is delayed by 20 minutes. He lands at gate T1 and has to get to gate E15 in 12 minutes. Because his bag is white tagged, it has to go through the guts of the airport. It has to be unloaded, put on a tug, taken to a central sorting facility, scanned by a computer, and put on another tug to the next plane. In Atlanta, that process takes time. Mr. Miller makes his flight, but his bag does not. He arrives in Florida with nothing but the clothes on his back. Sarah, however, picks up her pink-tagged bag right on the jet bridge in Atlanta. She carries it with her on the plane train to her next gate. Even if her first flight was late, her bag is with her. She is the master of her own manifest. She boards her next flight, and even if the bins are full again, she simply repeats the pink tag process. My bonus advice here is about itinerary integrity. When you are booking your flights, the airline's website will often offer you legal connections of 45 minutes. As your consultant, I'm telling you, that is a non-rev gamble. For a senior traveler, you want a minimum of 90 minutes in a major hub. Why? Because it's not just about the bag, it's about your internal manifest, your physical energy. You need time to find a restroom, grab a hydration-focused snack, and navigate the terminal at a pace that doesn't strain your heart. Don't let the airline's efficiency algorithm dictate your physical well-being. So how do we actually get this pink tag? You have to understand the gate agent psychology. They are being monitored on D0, that's departure at 0 minutes. If they are late, they get a strike on their record. They are looking for the path of least resistance. If you approach them and say, "I want a pink tag," they might say, "We only do those for strollers." But if you use operational language, the game changes. You approach the desk before boarding starts. You say, "I'm traveling with essential medical equipment and lithium-ion batteries. I'm concerned about bin space, so I'd like to proactively request a gate valet tag to ensure these items remain with the aircraft." You are using their lingo. Gate valet and remain with the aircraft. This tells the agent you aren't a novice traveler. You are a pro. It makes it easier for them to give you what you want than to argue with you. It's what I call the lead flight attendant charm. You are being professional, authoritative, but polite. The final piece of bonus advice for this section: once you've secured your seat and your bag is safely pink-tagged or tucked away, you need to manage your in-flight maintenance. For my over 60 travelers, I recommend compression socks and continuous hydration. The air in a cabin is drier than the Sahara Desert. It saps the moisture from your joints and your skin. I want you drinking 8 ounces of water for every hour you are in the air. And those socks? They aren't just for comfort. They are your primary defense against edema and circulation issues. You aren't just a passenger. You are the lead of your own health. Now we've made it. The fasten seatbelt sign has dinged for the last time, the engines are spooling down, and you can hear the hydraulic whine of the cargo doors opening beneath your feet. But for the pink tag traveler, the journey isn't quite over. There is a specific deplaning protocol I want you to follow to ensure you don't undo all the hard work we've put in. The surface rule is, stand up, grab your coat, and push toward the exit. But my lead flight attendant strategy is the opposite. I want you to stay seated. I know that sounds counterintuitive when everyone else is scrambling to stand up in a hunched position under the overhead bins. But remember, your pink-tagged bag is being hand-carried from the hold to the jet bridge right now. It takes the ground crew about 5 to 10 minutes to get those bags positioned. If you rush off the plane, you're just going to be standing in a crowded, drafty jet bridge, leaning on your luggage handle, getting bumped by people rushing to their connections. Instead, stay in your seat. Use those 5 minutes to do your post-flight maintenance. Do some ankle circles to get the blood flowing. Check your pockets one last time for your phone and your manifest of medications. When the line in the aisle finally clears, walk off with your head high. Your bag will be waiting for you right there at the aircraft door. You pick it up, you extend the handle, and you walk straight to your ground transportation. You've bypassed the baggage claim chaos entirely. You are the last one off the plane, but the first one out of the airport. That is how a pro handles the arrival. If you remember nothing else from our time together today, I want you to hold on to these 3 golden rules of the pink tag protocol. First, remember that the tag is a contract. A white tag is a contract with a conveyor belt. A pink tag is a contract with the aircraft itself. By choosing the pink tag, you are ensuring your belongings never leave the sterile area of your journey. Second, medical is a mandate. You aren't asking to keep your CPAP or your lithium batteries. You are complying with federal safety regulations. Never feel like you are being a difficult passenger for protecting your health lifelines. And third, language is power. Using terms like gate valet and operational integrity changes the dynamic between you and the airline. It moves you from a customer to a crew-minded traveler. Looking ahead, the future of travel is going to get even more automated. We're seeing biometric boarding and AI-driven baggage sorting. But here is the secret to staying young. Information is the ultimate fountain of youth. I've seen 80-year-olds who navigate London Heathrow better than 20-somethings because they stayed informed. They didn't let the technology intimidate them. They made the technology work for them. Staying curious about the why behind the rules keeps your mind sharp and your spirit adventurous. When you stop learning how to navigate the world starts feeling smaller. But when you keep up with these briefings, the world stays wide open for you. You aren't just a senior traveler, you are a legacy explorer. Now, I want to share something a bit personal about how I'm able to be here with you today. As I continue my work as a consultant, often traveling to verify these very protocols at new terminals, I've embraced the very technology I encourage you to use. This digital version of my experience, powered by advanced AI, allows me to reach thousands of you at once. It's like having a digital lead flight attendant in your pocket. This technology takes my 12 years of memories, my specific stories from the galley, and my deep understanding of airline manuals, and it organizes them so I can be your knowledgeable niece whenever you need me. It doesn't replace the human touch. I'm still the one directing these insights, but it ensures that this standard operating procedure for safe travel is accessible to every senior who wants to fly with confidence. It's a bit like the autopilot on a Boeing 777. It doesn't replace the pilot, but it allows the pilot to focus on the big picture, which for me is your safety and your joy. I am so proud of the community we are building here. Every time you ask for a pink tag, every time you pack your 72-hour medication pouch, you are honoring the manifest of a life well-traveled. You've done the work, you've earned the miles, and now it's time to enjoy the view. If you found this briefing helpful, I'd love for you to join our Safe Traveler community by subscribing. Leave a comment and tell me where you're headed next. I read every single one of them, and it makes my day to hear about your adventures. Until our next pre-flight briefing, keep your seatbelt fastened, your hydration high, and your heart open to the journey. Your adventure is just beginning. Let's fly right.